about to stalk Alice Monroe. Ready? Our fourth speaker will share with us her passion for rock climbing and a philosophy has taught her to live by both on and off the wall. She's speaking from the Pathways Project, where she is to use vocal variety and body language. With her speech entitled, "The Fear to Climb," please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Hannah Rudolph.
I've done a lot of thinking about fear. To me, the crucial question is not how to handle the climb, but how to handle the fear when it seeps into your nerve endings. This is a quote by Alex Honnold. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, Mr. Toastmaster, raise your hand if you've heard of Alex Honnold before. Anyone seen Free Solo? Alex Honnold is a renowned rock climber that made human history. A couple of years ago, he had the wild idea to free solo El Capitan in Yosemite Valley. For those of you that don't know, El Capitan is 7,569 feet worth of granite. And he did it in 4 hours with no rope. Needless to say, he's insane. I'm sure all of you guys are thinking that in your head right now. This guy's insane. And you're right, he is, but that's not the point. The point is that he spent 2 years of his life before this moment training every single day, like a dancer plans choreography for this climb. But it wasn't just the 2 years. That was just a smidgen of it. It was all 15 years of his life he dedicated to rock climbing for this moment. He achieved mastery when he got to the top of that wall. To me, he's an inspiration. I'm also an adrenaline junkie. I've skydived 5 times, so I also thought it was just really cool. But that's not the reason why I was inspired. Not the fact that he got to the top of the wall, but how he handled his fear. Back when I was in high school, I was an avid, active, complete tomboy. I still am. And I did many different sports. I did track for a little bit, I did diving, I did swim, which was terrible, but my 2 favorites were wrestling and weightlifting. Yeah, I said I was a tomboy. But when I got into college, I needed something to keep me busy. So, when I got into college, a friend told me about rock climbing. I was a kid who climbed every single tree, every single pole, every single cousin. And so, to me, it just made sense to get into rock climbing. And then, 6 years later, after getting my membership, I'm still just as addicted as I first started. I've been all over the country now in different areas. Close to home in Georgia, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, a little bit higher in Vermont, and then out west in Arizona and California. But there's still so many other places I still want to go and climb. However, there's one particular place in memory that still sticks with me. It was in Chattanooga, Tennessee a couple years ago, and I was in a bouldering field just outside the city. And I was standing before the route I had chosen. Now, this type of route is what we rock climbers call a high ball. A high ball is a tall route that you do with no rope. Now, before you guys freak out, I had crash pads on the ground and spotters to catch me in case I fell. And I knew that I was confident in the difficulty level of this route. So I began my climb. The first section was difficult, but I felt great. I kept going, kept climbing, until about 2/3 of the way to the top of this route, my hand sunk into a divot of rock that was submerged in ice cold water. It was 30-something degrees outside. And I felt what felt like knives and needles digging into my skin, and I froze. Hannah, don't look down. Hannah, do not look down. Just breathe, just breathe. Because I knew if I fell from this height, something was bound to break. Hannah, just breathe. I don't know if any other hold around this is better. I'm so scared to move my hand. What if I fall? What if I... Just breathe. just climb. I kept climbing. I climbed and climbed no matter how exhausted I was, how much my muscles were screaming, wanting me to let go, but I didn't stop. I kept climbing until I reached the top of the wall. I hoisted myself over the top, rolled and stood until I had my eyes level with the tree line. And I looked down at the wall I had just ascended. The reason why I'm proud of this isn't the fact that I got to the top of that wall. Sure, I'm glad I didn't die. That was great. I'm proud of the fact of how I handled my fear when I was on that wall. If I had panicked rather than staying calm in that moment, I could easily not be standing before you today. Granted, it's a risk that I like to take. I'm insane too. But the reason why I'm proud of that is because I learned how to handle my fear. Every single one of you in this room is intimate with the feeling of fear. Whether it's being on the edge of a cliff, standing up to your boss, or standing in front of a bunch of people doing a speech, you know fear. But how do you handle your fear? Do you freeze? Do you flee? Do you fight? Or do you stay calm and assess? Toastmasters, I challenge you to next time that you are looking fear in the face, I know all of you have something in your mind right now that maybe you're hesitant to do, maybe you've been thinking about for a while, about starting that climb, but you're scared, or perhaps you're in the midst of it already and you want to stop. I challenge you to keep looking that fear in the face. Because if you continue and keep climbing, that overcoming of fear is going to lead to growth, and growth will lead to mastery. So I challenge you, Toastmasters, to keep climbing when that fear is seeping into your nerve endings. And just remember the phrase, to keep climbing. Mr. Toastmaster.